Spring festival holiday, snowy highway, wife Lin Jiajia overtaking in the emergency lane. I said a couple of words, she was furious, jerked to a stop, opened the door and dragged me out. Luo Ze, you have reason I can not say you, but this is my car, you get off. I was holding my child, holding a cell phone with only one cell battery, and was left on the highway by her. The wheels rolled, the taillights went up, I was freezing, dialing the police. 1. Standing behind the railing of the national highway, the cold wind gusts, I protect my 3-year-old daughter in my arms. At this time it has been dark, the ear came whistling sound of the car, I was shivering. Lin Jiajia does not answer the phone, I can only call the police. Just on vacation, the road traffic, I was nervous, holding the child could not comfort. When I got off the car, in addition to the phone wallet I did not take anything, the child is still a little feverish, I panicked. Lin Jiajia, if Anan has any problems, I will never spare you. In fact, I know that she broke out because my parents refused to lend her money to replace the car. Lin Jiajia is so vain that she can't wait to get a new car when she just got promoted, but she also said, I'm the deputy manager of a branch company, what's wrong with getting a BMW? Out to see customers also have face awe. However, her monthly salary of 10,000, mortgage and living expenses have been covered, the rest of the expenses are my part-time subsidies. Anan is a high-needs baby, my parents are not well and have no time to take care of it, and Lin Jiajia said she is a modern woman and would never quit her job to take care of a child at home, so I had to quit my job. Now she's kicking us father and daughter off the bus because of this little thing, and I can kind of see it. Anan buried in my chest, glutinous, Dad, how long before the police uncle comes to pick us up? I suppressed my inner sadness, mute voice nodded, fast, police uncle will come to pick us up, ain't not afraid. After waiting for half an hour, the police car came, at this time I have frozen legs are stiff. And also high fever, I panicked and begged them to send me to the hospital. On the emergency lane, the police car sped all the way to take us to the hospital. It was hard to wait for An's condition to stabilize, my buddy hurriedly came, saw me in this state, immediately cursed. Lin Jiajia, that scum. When you're better, I'll accompany you to settle the score with her. I took a deep breath and my throat hurt. I want a divorce. Are you sure? If you're sure, I'll get you a lawyer. Yes, I've thought it over. I took the gap of waiting with only one battery cell phone, saw Lin Jiajia sent a picture outside the car window, with the text, disobedient men, just owe lessons. Through the screen I could imagine how arrogant she was. When stabilized, I took her to live directly in my buddy's house, and called my parents to help take care of them, and I went to the house myself to pack things. At the time of marriage, the house was bought before marriage, the mortgage is repaid together after marriage, what should be mine, I will fight for it. Seeing me come back, Lin Jiajia eccentric, yo, back ah. You can be patient, but also know the police. I did not say a word, packed up, handed her a divorce agreement, turned his head and left. Lin Jiajia froze, Luo Ze, because of this, you want to divorce me? I paused in the doorway for 2 seconds and nodded, yes, just because of this. Lin Jiajia, I don't want to listen to you anymore, let's divorce. Lin Jiajia is furious, Luo Ze, divorce me, I'll see how you can still live. The child belongs to me. I shuddered in my heart. Lin Jiajia knows how to use the child to blackmail me. I've put up with it for so long, just for the sake of the child. For the sake of Anan, I won't compromise either. Lin Jiajia, do you really want to fight me for custody of the child? Probably because my face was too ugly, Lin Jiajia stretched her neck, you're the one who wanted a divorce. Yes, because you were irresponsible and left us on the highway, and Anan was hospitalized with a high fever and pneumonia. This is how you show you love your daughter? If I post it on the internet, will you still be able to work as an assistant manager? Lin Jiajia, I didn't do it on purpose, I just don't want to listen to your nagging, how's Anan? I'll go see her. Her anxiety was not feigned, pulling me to go see Anan. I snorted in my heart, but still brought her there. When we met, Anan jumped into her arms, Mom. Lin Jiajia was a little embarrassed when she saw my parents. Dad, Mom, it's my fault, I was confused for a moment. Her attitude was okay, and Mom and Dad couldn't say anything in front of their child. They just dragged me along and reminded me, Jiajia, the child is still young, so be careful with your decision. 2. I know in my heart, Lin Jiajia hugged Ain and mother and daughter love. I watched from the sidelines, silent. When mom and dad saw this, they retreated to the kitchen, leaving space for the two of us. Lin Jiajia only then looked up at me, face a little embarrassed. I did not take care of her, just sat to the side to look at Anan. It was only then that she realized that I was genuinely not treating her well, so she said in a deep voice, "I've already realized my mistake. That said, if it wasn't for your family." Lin Jiajia. I interrupted her, "Stop talking about our family, they have not wronged you, on the contrary, after getting married and having a child, it has always been them who have subsidized this small family. I don't want to say anything more, the person is my own choice, but you want to dump the pot on my parents, I will never allow it. And." I looked at her, "You threw me off the highway, this is something I won't forgive." Lin Jiajia was a little annoyed, stood up and raised his voice, "Luo Ze, you're not finished, are you?" "Yes, it's not over." I looked up at her, my face serious, emotionally stable, not hysterical at all. This made Lin Jiajia instantly feel a little bad. She originally thought that I would definitely make a scene with her, or even make a scene, but no, I just calmly stated my claim. Now she finally realized that I wasn't joking with her, so she took a deep breath, "Luo Ze, so what do you want to do?" I just looked at her, as I stood on the highway with Anan in my arms, shivering from the wind. I wondered, what made you go out of your way to put us in danger? Lin Jiajia, am I your enemy? Doesn't your heart hurt at all when you do this to me? Because you didn't satisfy your vanity, you treat me like that, and then you blame me for everything that's wrong with you. Do you think that a light sentence of sorry will make it easy for me to erase what you've done? She bowed her head in silence for a long time before saying, "It was my fault, I just realized what I did. Forgive me, you see the child is still young, let's not make a scene, okay?" The first time she spoke to me in such a low voice, I thought of what my mom said about the child still being small. At this time, Anan also walked up to me and pulled my hand, then tugged on Lin Jiajia's hand, and stiffly put the two of our hands together. I was a little stiff, and Lin Jiajia took advantage of the situation to hug me. "Okay, stop, I will never do this again. For the sake of the child I forgive her, but only this time, never again. If you want me to forgive you, give me the car keys, I'll drive this car." Lin Jiajia was reluctant, but she gave it to me. My mom was relieved to see us make up. After this incident, Lin Jiajia also have a different emotion. I cannot say what it is, just no longer have the same feeling as before. After the return of the day as usual, Lin Jiajia also seems to know that he did not do too well, so a few days in a row are extremely pampered. Anan is also as much as possible to take care of. After work, I came back, there is no socializing, I did not take it seriously, around are about to celebrate the new year, so I did not pursue this matter. But soon she rehashed the old story. That morning, I sent Anan to the hospital for a review, and when I got to the garage downstairs, I found that the car was not there. I froze for a moment, the car keys are with me, where is the car? I panicked and immediately called Lin Jiajia. "It's not good, our car has been stolen." 3. On the other end of the phone, Lin Jiajia was silent, and only after a long time did she say, "No, it was me who drove away, you are at home and do not work, what is the use of driving? So you took the spare key, right? You know, I send Anan to kindergarten every day, how cold the road is." Lin Jiajia is impatient. "It's only 20 minutes, is it that pretentious? Say no more, I have a meeting." She hung up the phone straight away, my heart went completely cold. The snow on the ground hadn't completely melted, and it was slippery when I walked. From the garage to the entrance of the neighborhood, it is necessary to walk for 10 minutes, I looked at Anan dressed in a round, holding my hand to walk out carefully. Suddenly in my heart, I feel a little sorry for her. Before I rode a small electric donkey every day, the little one sat behind me, freezing her face purple. "Anan, do you want to ride in the cart?" Anan wants to, but daddy doesn't have a cart, so it's okay for Anan to wear a little more. The little one is so sensible, how can I see her freezing? Speaking of which, I bought the car. Originally, we agreed to take turns driving it, but she always has a lot of excuses, either to go out of town on business today, or to send the leader home tomorrow. In short, I have not touched a few times to become her. Not to mention this time, on the highway, she kicked me out of the car and said it was her car. "Luo Ze, you are really stupid. I took a taxi to the hospital to make sure that Anan was not seriously hurt, and immediately went to order a substitute car. The small Wuling was An's favorite. At the same time, I contacted a lawyer, typed up the divorce agreement, and went to Lin Jiajia's company, took my car and sold it to a used car dealership. No more, no less, just enough money for my new car. After doing all this, I drove my own small car, went home to pack up my things, and directly brought Anan to live back to my parents' house. 6 o'clock in the evening, Lin Jiajia came back, face ugly. Luo Ze, you took my car, what do you mean? As for it, I said lightly, nothing means, I bought the car, how do I want to deal with, but also with you to report? In the morning, you do not say hello to drive away, I almost called the police, this time we are even. She immediately angry, you in the end to make a scene until when, do you know that tonight I have to send a colleague home? I snorted, what, you changed jobs? She lived in the company before you. Today I was supposed to take in for a review, it's because of you that we fell 3 times in the freezing weather, Lin Jiajia, I won't forgive this time. Take a look, there's nothing to object to, sign it. Lin Jiajia froze, then flamed up. Luo Ze, don't even think about it. If you leave me, how will you live as a house husband? Don't worry about it. I'm capable of supporting myself. Sign it. We're done. Lin Jiajia looked at me with red eyes and clenched her fists tightly, then said, okay, but Anan belongs to me. She is aware of how to poke my heart, sniffing, I took back the divorce agreement. Lin Jiajia tone mocking, Luo Ze, the cost of divorce is too high, you cannot afford. Is that so? But I still want to try. Lin Jiajia, since you don't want to get together, I'll be rude. I've changed my strategy. Lin Jiajia wants to fight with me for the child, not because she loves Anan, she's just forcing me to bow down. I realized that after tearing my face off, there really isn't any warmth between husband and wife. This time, I will never compromise. This woman, I am also determined not to. 4. I rented a house near the kindergarten, and arranged my parents over there to pick up and drop off Anan every day. I myself with the manuscript, and the design plan to the company to submit a resume. I originally majored in design and quit my job because of Anan, but it's only been 3 years since I left the workplace. I haven't completely given up this profession, and I'm still doing part-time jobs to supplement my family's income. Therefore, after the resume was sent out, although there was a window of time, but my work was still able to hit. I received an interview notice on the 3rd day of submitting it, and it was half a month later that the job was finalized. During this time I didn't go back, but installed surveillance in my house and emptied all my belongings at the same time. The house I also listed to the agent, in any case, I made up my mind to leave. During this period, Lin Jiajia also called me, but never mentioned the divorce. I don't let go, insist on divorce, Lin Jiajia can't help but be furious, you cannot come back, can also move out, but I tell you, the divorce condition is only one, Anan to me. You're a family cook without a job, even if you have a part-time job, it's useless. I laughed and didn't say much, Lin Jiajia underestimated me too much, soon she knew my heart for insisting on divorce. I was serious. Until a month later, she couldn't hold out any longer and began to actively coax me to go back. I know that she is not because she misses me, nor does she want to admit her fault, but this month, no one to clean up for her, every day to go back to the cold pot and cold stove, home like a pigsty. I saw through the monitor that she even hired a bellhop, and every time she pays out, it's a pain in the ass. She took it for granted that I cleaned up at home, but now that she has to pay for a bellhop, she's hurting. Free babysitting that doesn't cost anything, I've been doing it for so long and now I don't want to do it anymore. So when she called, I just said in a cold voice, sign the word and I'll go back, otherwise you don't mention anything. Lin Jiajia realized that I was not joking with her, and she immediately had to kneel for me. Luo Ze, we have words to say, divorce is completely unnecessary. It is not just a car, I do not drive, all to you is, you come back, I promise, in the future certainly let you live a good life. I snorted, okay, you also do not give me a big cake here, the car I sold, I now find a job, completely can support Anan, if you want to fight with me for the child, I fight, the lawsuit is also possible. Lin Jiajia instantly dumbfounded, and then said in a row, to divorce with me can, you said these I do not serve, why should I give you half of the property? You did not. After you got married line, you also do not say that the cliched words, is not that I am a family cooker did not contribute. The law provides for the joint property of husband and wife. I do not talk to you nonsense, directly waiting to receive a summons. I didn't wait for her to finish, and directly hung up the phone. Lin Jiajia got annoyed and angry, probably didn't expect me to talk to her like this, and didn't even expect me to be so bottomless now that I was going to sue for divorce with her. She was furious, and the only thing she could do was to call my parents. My mom didn't spoil her either and directly disliked her. You should have thought of this when you left my son and granddaughter on the highway and almost let them get hit by a car. Lin Jiajia, do you think that my son married you and settled down on your side of the family? No one to back him up, I tell you cannot. I'm telling you no. The Luo family is not dead. If you don't get a divorce, we've got plenty of ways to stall you to the end. Lin Jiajia realized the seriousness of the matter. 5. A month later I took the paycheck and started to sue. The lawyer side is also ready. Lin Jiajia realized that I am really. She was afraid, door to door to apologize, and even brought the in-laws over. In-laws see me, the first sentence is, Luo Ze, you child is too capricious, the child is so big, but also what divorce? Our Jiajia is busy, she doesn't smoke or drink, she's a rare good daughter-in-law, so be careful you won't be able to find a suitable one in the future. I couldn't help but laugh after hearing them say that, and turned my head to look at Lin Jiajia. Are you here to show your superiority? Do your parents know why I got divorced? Mother-in-law rolled her eyes. Not just a car, not I say you, she is at least a leader, go out, face or to have. It's not like your family is short of money, why do you care so much? So, I looked at Lin Jiajia with a sneer. She was a little weak touching her nose. Anyway, it is my fault, you forgive me for not divorcing, okay. Mother-in-law said, she apologized, you are this age, the child also has, every day at home to enjoy the happiness, what divorce? My mom can't help it. What does my son enjoy? Is he busy with housework and children in the daytime, and has to put up with her cold violence when he comes home at night? Or the fact that we have to subsidize him every month since we got married? You ask me for money to buy a car and leave my son on the highway if you don't pay. You Lin family is so shameless, and now you dare to come to the door to say such things, old men, throw me out. My dad smashed over with a mop without saying a word. Lin Jiajia hurriedly blocked in front of her, and was disliked by my dad with a mop to her eyes. It hurt so much that she screamed, and we took advantage of the situation to push her out. Mother-in-law even blurted out, Luo Ze, you bastard. Your family is unreasonable, you wait for me. I was relentless, you wait Lin Jiajia, the police records of that day and the child's hospitalization bill I keep, turn around I will send you online. Lin Jiajia thought I didn't dare, grimaced and sent me a message, Luo Ze, you're not at fault for making such a mess. Give you a step you down, my mom does not know, you do not go too far. I am also impatient, without saying anything directly to the things to the internet. Let everyone comment. At the end of the year, everyone is also bored, see me this tweet immediately all exploded. What is this dog thing, actually threw the husband and child on the highway, before I always thought that this is very abstract, but did not think that it is true. This is murder, this is not ordinary domestic cold violence. Support the owner to sue her. Divorce her and leave must leave. Are you leaving or not? If not, I'll fork you with a forklift. You know, we always advise divorce. This kind of woman can't be spoiled. How much can she give you every month to make you so devoted to her? If I were a child, I wouldn't even want such a mom. How much psychological pressure it brings to the child. I also clicked on the same city push, and quickly identified Lin Jiajia's identity as well as her workplace through my mere words, and the little hints I revealed. The netizens were really giving it a go. Instantly Lin Jiajia became a celebrity. My second month in the company, the design program was adopted, early transfer, double the bonus. 6. On the contrary, Lin Jiajia had a miserable time, probably because the online public opinion is too hot. Her company also received the news, let her hurry to solve the matter, suspended her. Lin Jiajia had just been promoted, but now she was back to her original form. The order she had negotiated was also fished out by her competitor, and she also received a court summons, so she had no choice but to take the initiative to look for me. We arranged to meet near my company. 2 months only, Lin Jiajia haggard, she realized that I want to divorce so determined. When we met, I wore a camel-colored coat, casual pants plus small leather shoes, living a workplace elite. Look at Lin Jiajia can't take her eyes off. Luo Ze, your whole person has changed, really handsome. How did you used to be like this before? She suddenly realized that I used to be like this. It was only after I returned to my family that I became unkempt, and I really didn't have the time or the money to dress myself up. Her eyes suddenly fell. Is there anything you're not satisfied with in the divorce agreement? If not, then just sign it. Otherwise, by the time we get to court, we'll be dragging our feet for a long time. She froze at once and lowered her head. I know I've completely hurt you, but you can't ruin me like this. What good will it do you? And then we'll grow up to know later. How do you expect her to take it? I gently sipped my coffee and downplayed the situation. Do you care if she accepts it or not? After all, you almost killed her. You think you're so high and mighty just because you make a couple bucks, and you think I'm a dry eater who knows how to enjoy life all day long. You must have gotten by without me as your free babysitter for the past 2 months. It's not like that. Lin Jiajia hurriedly explained, I just think you've changed. You wouldn't have been so calculating before. Because I'm stupid. Lin Jiajia, I've come to realize that I can't rely on anyone, let alone you, who has no heart. Do you know how long I waited for the police that night? You go too, find an empty place, stay for an hour or two, and then come back to me to say forgiveness. At those words, she slapped herself hard twice. I know I'm wrong, I'm not a human being, you can beat me and scold me any way you want, no divorce, okay. There is no possibility between us. And it hasn't mentioned you once in these 2 months. If you're free, go see her more often instead of fighting me here. Lin Jiajia lowers her head, so we can't go back. Sign it. Your mom's right, anyone can live without anyone, so don't drag it out, it's pointless. Lin Jiajia clenched her fists for half a day before saying, you are so cruel. I was determined not to turn back. She had no choice but to sign. Don't forget to get your license in a month. I have waited so many years, let alone a month. The biggest dispute between Lin Jiajia and I is money. She won't really want an. The car is the money I spent, and the house is her premarital property. But the joint repayment portion of the marriage was to be paid back to me, and the savings were not much, totaling $300,000 for me. I used this money to pay the down payment in the new neighborhood. Mom and Dad also moved over. They know that I am divorced, certainly need to help, so I have no choice but to sell the old house. At first, I was not happy. I do not want my father so old, but also to leave the country to accompany me. My mom is more open-minded. We're the son where we are, to keep the little granddaughter. The future is still a good life. It does not matter where to settle down. Anyway, we will follow you. Don't worry, there's no future for us back home. Since you're here, we'll move here too, so we can spend more time with Anan. 7. Hearing my mom say this, I was touched. The most important thing is that Mom and Dad are still behind me as a strong backing. I can do what I want to do with impunity. This month Lin Jiajia life is quite bad, although already dealt with the matter between us, but before I put out the news still hit her face. It made her highly ridiculed inside the company. Everyone knows, she has no sense of responsibility, even her husband and children cannot bear to do without. The netizens are right, she is murder, but if there is a car in the back that is not open to the eye, driving to the emergency lane, Ianan will be dead. After this incident, Lin Jiajia was burnt out. Originally after the rise to power, she was being watched by multiple people, plus the fire in the backyard. The competitors have been staring at her. After she screwed up a big order, her superiors finally got mad and knocked her back down. She was marginalized, the whole team was nearly laid off, and Lin Jiajia completely collapsed. On the weekend I took Anan to the amusement park and came back, and hugged a toy bear and saw the person standing at the door at once. Dad, look, that's Mom. I didn't expect that she would find her way to my new home. The moment I saw her, I instinctively shielded Anan behind me. Lin Jiajia stared at me and couldn't help but smile bitterly. No matter what, I'm still her real mother. Luo Ze, even if you separate from me, can you still keep Anan and I from seeing each other for the rest of our lives? I breathed a sigh of relief. I don't mean that, it's just that I'm a little less accustomed to your sudden appearance. I asked your buddy, he's the one who told me, can I come up and sit down? I thought about it but nodded and let her in. Arrived at the new home of the moment, Lin Jiajia saw the windows of the home, cannot help but sigh. there you are in the end is the place where the warmth of home. Unlike my place, cold and quiet. I realized what I had missed before. I'm not surprised at all that the original home surveillance wasn't removed, and I didn't move until we got the divorce papers. Naturally, I could see what it was like to have her home all to herself. Lin Jiajia looked at me, her eyes burning. I just said in a deep voice, yes, the toilet won't clean itself, and the meals won't turn out by themselves. Lin Jiajia, it's too late to regret now. Just because I left you guys on the highway, so you insist on divorcing me. That was just a trigger. I recalled, after marriage with Anan, I do not work at home to take care of her. You do not treat me as in together with the mutual husband, but as your subordinate. Call and come, wave away. Happy, to me smiling face to welcome, not happy to reprimand me, do not care about my feelings. Friends party, you never take me, you said I was afraid to bring the child inconvenience, in fact, is too ashamed of me, because then I do not dress up. I also want to dress up, but there is no way. You give me 3,000 yuan a month living expenses, and let me cook 4 dishes and a soup, but also to serve a good family, and even human relations. I'm not Doraemon, there is no way to do everything, everything is perfect. I always wondered what I had done wrong, so that I, a person who had received higher education, was one day left by my own wife on the side of the road. At that moment I really felt that I had lived in vain. My parents had trained me for college, not for me to be disliked by my own wife. 8. I said all my grievances in one breath, and Lin Jiajia was so ashamed that she was ashamed of herself. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I shook my head, more sorry, there is no way to make up for it. Although you did not do anything out of the ordinary, but day after day, cold violence and pua has deeply stung me. In the future, but where I have a little bit not in place, you may leave me alone. I do not dare to gamble, and do not want to gamble anymore. You stay with her well, and I don't want to say the rest. I went straight into the kitchen to make dinner for Anan. Mom and Dad, they had something today, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get Lin Jiajia to come to the door. She understood at once, and played with Anan in the living room for a long time, until the meal was ready. I didn't keep her. Lin Jiajia was despondent, opening and closing her lips, and when she saw that I didn't squeak, she had to open the door and leave. Bye, Mom. Lin Jiajia heard An's voice and couldn't hold back any longer. She wiped her tears and left anyway. I took a deep breath and didn't say anything. I waited until the evening when I put Anan to bed and asked, Anan, do you want to live with your mom? Anan wrapped her arms around my neck. I want to, but if Dad is not happy, I cannot want it. Why? Because I feel as if Mom doesn't like me. She won't even stay with me, and when she does, she looks at her cell phone. When I heard that, I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Lin Jiajia, look, even a child can see that you have no patience. Our relationship in this marriage is just not equal. I am a nanny and a subordinate in her eyes, only not her husband. After Anan fell asleep, I worked overtime in front of the computer to rewrite the manuscript. At this time, I received a message from Lin Jiajia, apologizing for the small essay. I didn't finish reading it. What's wrong is wrong, it's useless to say so much, it's better to be practical. A month later, I and Lin Jiajia received a divorce certificate. Standing in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I was in a relaxed mood, finally over. Lin Jiajia looked at my eyes with a trace of obvious guilt. I'm sorry, this time I'm really sorry. I intend to start again from scratch. I hope you can give me this opportunity. I have no intention of remarrying for the time being, and my career is on the rise. I have no time to talk about those love affairs. I clearly refused, but Lin Jiajia felt that I had given her some kind of signal and unexpectedly called her parents over as well. Since the last time they were kicked out by their parents, Lin Jiajia's mom didn't dare to talk to me for a long time. Learning that Lin Jiajia and I are really divorced, and that I even seem to be better off without her, Lin Jiajia's mom is red in the face. She hangs around my house every day, and buys little gifts from time to time, in the name of seeing Anan. As an aunt's grandmother, I wouldn't stop her, which made her think that Lin Jiajia and I would get back together. That night I worked too late. The car just sent to the maintenance is a colleague to send me back. I just got off. Lin Jiajia, her mother, suddenly rushed out of the building. See, colleagues cannot help but look up and down the yin and yang said. No wonder you must divorce with my daughter. Did not think that has long been climbed on a high branch. Luo Ze, I really did not think that you so philandering. At the expense of my daughter still want to remarry you. I just laughed coldly. Of course, after divorcing your daughter, I've had a good life, and it's not that hard to find another half. I'm handsome, I have a good job, I have a high income, my parents have a pension, and I have a house, so I'm sure I can find a suitable one, don't you think? 9. She was choked by me, unable to speak, repeating you must have long been looking for a good next home. You can't afford to let my daughter down. Of course I can. I, Luo Ze, have done the right thing. You'll go to jail for rumor mongering. I'm divorced, all my qualifications are a plus, I'm not afraid of not finding a date, it's Lin Jiajia, can she find someone like me? Auntie, if I were you I'd earn more money and find Lin Jiajia a good husband and give her a little more dowry. My words are really solid. A colleague also smiled and said, Luo Ze is the backbone of the company, conditions and good, have a house, car and savings. On the contrary, the one in your family, in this city can be completely into the red, what kind of tutelage can do that kind of thing? Today I see you I kind of understand. At this time, the former mother-in-law angry face trembling, I really afraid that she could not get a breath to die in front of my house, that would be bad. And I thanked the colleague after straight around her. Before entering the door I gave Lin Jiajia a call, let your mom in the future do not come to harass me, otherwise I will have to call the police. Lin Jiajia, you don't want to be disturbed again now that you've managed to settle down. Lin Jiajia was terrified. She arrived 20 minutes later and stiffly dragged her mom away. The world was cleared. After that, they no longer dared to come to me to talk nonsense, and I do not want to nag them. Afterwards, Lin Jiajia apologized to me, saying that her mother was just confused and didn't mean it. I don't want to say anything more. In short, people do not offend me, do not offend, people want to offend me, I will never let go. Let her know, I'm not a good talker, the reason why I tolerated before, just for the sake of the child's points, and now since the divorce, I care about what she has a hard time. Let me not feel good, I will let her not feel good. Former mother-in-law did not dare to come to me, just in the neighborhood, I simply print a photo of her in the incident, and find a few older women, met her to dislike the photo. After a few times, she never had the face to come over again. Lin Jiajia also resigned from the company, she knew that there is no way to compare with me, she could only start another stove. The same I did not refuse the arrangement of parents, participated in the blind date, but most of the blind date cannot find the feeling, all of the blind date where I got into a friend. Mom and Dad saw the situation also slowly stopped thinking. 3 years later, I was promoted, and then also began to go to elementary school, our family moved to the neighborhood of the elementary school, and I bought a new school district house. I bought a new house in the school district. My parents helped me with transportation and cooking at home, and the days were very fulfilling. As an end's elementary school life began, I also applied for flexible working, so I could come and pick her up as soon as I finished my own work. The family is working hard together, and life is much better than it was before I got divorced. Lin Jiajia, on the other hand, comes over from time to see me and Anan, and even buys me some gifts. She said she wanted to pursue me again, to show me her sincerity. In recent years, she has also stabilized her footing, jumped to another company, starting from the grassroots level, but she didn't make a mistake, and her job has stabilized, and her salary has skyrocketed. She sent her parents back to their hometown, and she is devoted to me and Anan, but I didn't even move. After seeing Lin Jiajia's change, I told myself that a man can only let others see my good if he is strong. If I was still the same Luo Ze, who was always around the stove, wife and children, Lin Jiajia wouldn't have given me a second glance, and would have treated me the same way she did in the past. So no matter what kind of changes she made, all these changes came from my independence and self-reliance. If I hadn't gotten back to work, and if I hadn't had the money, Lin Jiajia would never have felt she had done anything wrong. I was unmoved by her renewed pursuit of me and didn't see how good I was, just that the cost of marriage was now rising. After I split her 300,000, she alone took out a loan, and also have to pay in an alimony. The day is not very prosperous. Most of the men she went on dates with were turned off when they heard that she had to pay her daughter an alimony payment after her divorce. After all, the reorganization of the family is there, but according to Lin Jiajia's current standard, the future to give the child a good education, as well as living conditions, is impossible. People are realistic, and I am no exception. Life still has to go on. I will not refuse her to be good to Anan, but I will not eat the grass back. I will never stand on the side of the road freezing to the point of collapse in the warm winter sun. I have my own warmth, everything is just right.